And the commotion there in the corner. Hoover still trying to dig it free. They let play continue. Harlow in position. And finally play is whistled down and will get the face-off coming up to the right of the board. And our first set to of the night is Hoover now. And Biggs are having a go at it. It's been really a rather mild game so far.
Well, when they let the puck rest along the boards and let that kind of contact go, and the idea behind it is keep playing motion. But that's when in this league and in the National Hockey League we end up with some problems. Now we'll have a little go.
Now Neufeld and Stothers.
This is the first time we've seen Ray Neufeld in a fight this season.
Well, he's doing pretty well.
Stothers, a former first-round pick of the Philadelphia Flyers, was traded to Toronto, came back again, and briefly played here. He was loaned to the Mariners organization a few years ago when they won their last Calder Cup in '83-'84. Right now, it's just the fact of trying to get the hands loose, and as you say, Bob Norton, I think it was Ray Neufeld that got the hands loose early and landed the early punches.
After that, it was a waltz. So they have waltzed their way into the penalty box. It'll be the first Maine penalty of the game. They'll come at 2 minutes and 41 seconds here of the second period. Second time that Stothers has gone off in the game.
Referee Fawcett may blow the whistle a little bit sooner along the boards when those tie-ups occur along the sideboards.
Mariners almost got a goal out of it in the first period when they dug it out in the corners.
Well, you saw Hershey ended up with 3 guys on 2 in the corner with Neufeld loose in front, and you know, the idea, I think, is a good one, and we've seen it be very effective in the college game in keeping play in motion. But the professional game is a little bit different. The bodies are bigger, the temperament's a little bit different, and you know, sometimes you can get in trouble if you let too many of those situations go along the boards.
One question I wanted to ask, Bob, I was down on the ice level before we were shooting the open for the show. Is Maine an especially big team, or is it the uniform, or are they all that big in the American Hockey League?
They're all that big.
Yeah, I think they're pretty. You usually heard Bob Beers talk between periods, and he was saying the biggest difference between college and this game is that how physically strong and big the players are, and that there are far more big players in this league than he was accustomed to in Hockey East, and his Maine team certainly has their share of big guys. See, Stothers catches a stick off the side of the head. That wasn't well received.
Number 15, Ron Hoover, 2 for slashing. Number 17, Ray Neufeld, 5 for fighting. Time of the penalties, 2 minutes, 41 seconds.
Hoover got 2.
Playing this league, 46 out of, actually 47 now out of 206, almost 23%. And actually, we got a little action over on the, just by the blue line.
Crawford representing the Mariners, and Crawford's going to win this one in a big way. Crawford took a couple of shots, and then Lou just turned around and flattened the Newmarket player. And Crawford's still upset.
Well, any fan of the American Hockey League knows that Luke Crawford's going to back down to nobody. He's not as big as some of the people he goes up against.
In that case, it was Brian Hort.
He played his 500th career American Hockey League game last Wednesday, and he answers the bell every time he comes on the ice. Maybe now, Bob, feeling he needed to get his Mariners into this game, so he goes out and he bangs around.
Well, I think when you have a situation like this, both teams sort of feeling their way, and finally the Newmarket team gets a chance to have that power play advantage and ends up putting it in. You got to get something to get you back in the game. We'll be right back after this. Oh, no, hold on. We got a promo. We won't be right back after this.
We are back.
Yeah, we are back. A little quicker than we expected. The Bruins are back.
And a chuck, and Stevens cut across the line. Off now for Stevens. Stevens a shot. Jeffrey got the pad. Knocking it in was Dundas into the open net. A little shoving going on back behind it. Almost made it through the pads of Jeffrey, but just caught it back at the end. As Johnson and Dundas continue to do some shoving at the left side. Now Dundas drops the gloves and goes after Johnson, and will get him squared off. Johnson doing a pretty good job of having him pretty well tied up.
Dundas is an interesting story. The last couple of years, fans in Portland loved to hate him when he was on the Sherbrooke Canadiens, Montreal's American Hockey League team. He went to training camp this year with Toronto, earned a contract, and now the fans in Maine get a chance to yell at him when he's here with Newmarket.
This is a shot that started it. Puck looked like it had a chance to trickle through. We watched the play develop from the outside. There's Stevens with the puck. He's an outstanding goal scorer. Good snapshot. And Jeffrey pulls those pads together, tries to freeze it up. Blum is going to give the two-handed whack to Stevens as he tries to follow the shot. Stevens heard that, didn't hear a whistle, so he came to the net. He was waiting for that puck to sort of trickle out of Jeffrey's pads. We're going to have penalties here to Dundas and Johnston.
But 8:54 will be the time of the penalties. And last goal, 8:27. Miller from O'Dwyer and Beer.
Bears in the offensive zone. And it's loose now out to center. And Stothers is going to go at it. Is that Greg Poss? Yes, it is. Stothers with a couple of short right hands. Poss with a couple of left hands.
The last time these two clubs went at it, Mike Stothers got into a fight with Ray Neufeld early on. Now Stothers answers with some good right hands on Greg Poss. Stothers, the veteran, Poss, the rookie, and you can see it right there. Greg Poss standing up. Mike Stothers has been in a few more of those, and Greg Poss will both go off to the penalty box. 15:05 left to go first period. No score between the Mariners and the Bears.
Stothers skating off. There's Poss. You don't see too many pro hockey players out of Louisiana, but that's where Poss is from.
He went to the University of Wisconsin. He was
sends it in for the Mariners. Johnston chasing it down for Maine. The deep forechecker. He's dumped by Stevens, and a penalty coming up here on the Hershey Bears. And now here we go again. This time it's Poss and Nachbauer along the far boards.
Earlier in the game, Greg Poss tangled with Mike Stothers. Now he takes on Don Nachbauer, two of the tougher customers on the Hershey Bears team. And Poss will get inside of Nachbauer. Nachbauer trying to get Greg Poss's helmet off. Rick Zerbe and Randy Whistler trying to move in and separate the two players. And down on the ice, there's an injured Mariner. That's Mariner trainer Jerry Foster taking a look at Greg Johnston. Johnston was hit hard into the boards. He whacked his nose into the boards. Right now, Jerry Foster trying to find out if Greg's all right as Don Nachbauer heads off to the penalty box. 4:34 to go in the second period. Nachbauer will go off to the dressing room. Of course, receive a 5-minute fighting penalty, and with less than 5 minutes to go in the period, he goes off for the early exit, as will Greg Poss without his helmet, back the other way. Looks as like Greg Johnston is all right. Dennis LaRue will fill us in on the penalties.
After the second period, it's the Bears 5 and the Mariners 2. Oh, this is an added as we look at the replay.
Right there. Both the sticks came up, but it was Greg Johnston that took the hit from Stevens. He went down hard. That's why Stevens gets a game misconduct, a new rule a couple of years ago, trying to get the sticks down. Greg Johnston was going back behind the net, hard into the boards. So the Mariners, who just scored earlier in the period on the power play.
Trouble here in the opening period.
8 minutes, the time of the goal by Brian Marchment. McReynolds the assist. O'Dwyer for the Mariners. Lets one go. Saved by Draper. Right back to O'Dwyer. His backhander through his screen and just wide. And there's the first fight of the night. Rick Boyd getting into it right in front of the Hawks goaltender. And now he's grabbed by another player, Marchment. Had Hervey right off the bat, and then Hervey went down kind of into the turtle, how the players and coaches term it. And then coming over to try to get a piece of Rick Boyd was the goal scorer, most recently Brian Marchment for the Moncton Hawks. 11:39 remaining in the first period. Moncton with a 3-0 lead, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Marchment, the last goal scorer, he's in the runway waiting for the announcement on the penalties. I don't know if he's going to be assessed as third man in here.
That could be the case. It was Matt Hervey and Rick
Hervey's
Boyd.
headed for the penalty box, I think. Boyd is already in the penalty box.
Hervey has a few words for Rick Boyd, and now Dave Jackson will explain the scenario. What has happened so far tonight is that the Moncton Hawks have jumped out to a 3-0 lead. 2 goals by Guy LaRose. Brian Marchment, as Frank said, the other goal scorer. And the Mariners have fallen behind, having been outshot to this point, 10-4. And Rick Boyd, a physical player in the lineup for the Mariners tonight, going out, trying to get his team fired up in front of the offensive net.
Well, something's got to get them fired up because they're off to a real bad start here in this one, trailing 3-0. Still 11:39 remaining in this opening period. Hervey is in the penalty box along with Boyd. Marchmont, as we'll take another look at what happened. Watch in front now. There, 9 is Boyd. As he goes to the net, you see Herbie's stick is up high, and then they tangle, and Boyd nails him right there, and down goes Herbie, and the stick is gone, and now Marchmont will come over, and he becomes actually the third man in. He's got to be gone.
Oh, Nisic off the puck. Nisic then goes down.
Crawford nailed him. I don't think Dvorsky saw that one either. Now Serge Roberts, and Crawford nails him. He decks him. Lou Crawford Serge Roberts started to square off with somebody. Crawford just came by and wailed him.
Neufeld behind the net to Mike Miller. Miller looks in front. Johnson up. Gets a job done. At center ice, McReynolds. He is hit hard by Rick Boyd. Geraldo back to John Blum.
Herbie and Boyd. Boyd, after the check, was jumped by Herbie, but down goes Herbie, and Boyd has him trying to fire the right hand at him. Herbie put the check on, as you saw, and after he put the check on, he was jumped, or was jumped by Herbie, rather. And they tangled.
That's a return engagement for Rick Boyd and Matt Hervey. They went at it earlier in the period, and Rick Boyd will head off to the dressing room with only 1:21 left to go in the first period.
There's a replay. Now, there's the check that he put on. Now, watch as he turns. Here comes Herbie. He saw him coming. He ducked under it. Now, Herbie grabs hold of him. Off comes the helmet. And then they'll start to go, and watch the left hand come up. Boyd fires the left hand. As we see Matt Herbie heading for the dressing room with only 1:21 remaining in this opening period. Boyd will be heading in the other direction, and already has.
The score, the Hawks 4, the Mariners nothing, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Tied up on the far boards. Fitzgerald with a shot, gloved by Foster. He holds on. Now Shoebottom set to go. Pretty good set to Shoebottom and Ewan. Ewan renowned. And they really exchange hands. We talked about Ewan before. No goals. He has added 5 assists since our first telecast. Now has 183 minutes in penalties, and he'll add a few more.
His brother, kind of the same role with the Montreal Canadiens, traded earlier in the season from the St. Louis Blues, and Bruce Shoebottom there taking exception to some of the tussling along the boards after the play. So midway through the second period, two tough guys out in the ice are off in the penalty box, and you are right, Bob. The power play, even though both the goals this afternoon have come on the man advantage, the power play has been a problem, but you could look at it on the other side of the coin, outstanding penalty killing.
Yeah, there has been some good penalty killing. Let's see how this little set 2 starts. There's Ewan and Shoebottom right there. Those two guys don't need too much to start one, and it didn't look like too much right there.
Balance of 5 apiece, as you might guess, for fighting at 9:30.
It's a good chance by Berg coming in, working the back end, using the body beautifully as he works around number 15, Ron Hoover.
Remember Ewan? He's the one who did the swan dive into the bench in New Haven.
Maine Mariners gave it a pretty good run this year, and they almost made it. But missing the playoffs was not a total disappointment, because Maine did what a farm club was supposed to do: feed the parent team, in this case the Boston Bruins, and the Bruins finished first overall in the NHL.
For Van Allen, Sean Van Allen was spun around and knocked down by Poss, and we may be getting a penalty call. Now Boyd back behind the play, going against David Haas. Rick Boyd and David Haas out in front of the Mariners bench. I don't know what led to that.
Well, I think Rick Boyd sent Haas hard into the boards. The bang you heard in the background was David Haas's helmet. Rick Boyd giving the Mariners some real strength out in the ice. Hasn't played much this year in Maine. Spent most of the season in the East Coast Hockey League. He was the player the last time Nesson came in, whose family got up early out in British Columbia to catch the game on the satellite dish. But David Haas is a type of player that has given the Mariners problems this year. Haas will run around a bit. He'll play physical. So Rick Bowness was glad to have Rick Boyd out there. And I think a good job by both Shampoo and Whedon, the linesmen, to move in quickly before those two got at it. So they'll probably go at it once they get back out in the ice again. I think David Haas got a shiner there as he went into the boards, or maybe a hand loose on Boyd when the linesman moved in.
Well, you don't have to say any more than 6 goals in 52 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, and 223 penalty minutes. I mean, that gives you a pretty good picture. This is the original rush, and the puck was blown dead there. Van Allen down the ice on a one-on-one with Poss.
I thought Poss was going to get the game.
Yeah.
Then you look back in front
Yeah,
of us and you see the fight breaking out in front of the bench.
The official was definitely concerned with what was happening up.
They boot a stick handling across the line, trying to cut in against Bell, who rides him out. And now we've got Haas again over on the far side. Haas and Boyd, a rematch of before. Boyd a couple wild swings. Look like Boyd's been cut.
Right across the forehead. It was Rick Boyd who cut above the eye of David Haas in their limited engagement before. And this time you get a good look there as Rick Boyd took one right off the forehead.
Well, Haas apparently has been waiting, and that's the payback.
So Rick Boyd will go off to the Mariners dressing room. You can bet the training staff will be out after him. David Haas sits down on the bench. Maybe that's what the Cape Breton Oilers needed, because they have been asleep here in this period. They have given up 3 goals. The Mariners came in with a 2-goal lead and now lead at 6-1. Still a lot of time to go, 10:01 left. And back to the goaltender, Mike Greenlay. Greenlay has been on the bench for the last 2 games. Alexander Tiznich, the Russian goaltender, has played in both those games.
McGinnis. And now we've got LeBlanc and Semeta.
This is a featherweight match. The other was a heavyweight bout.
2 players well protected by their shields, and 2 players that have been in the scoring column tonight.
Neither one of them, I don't believe, are known foremost for their fistic prowess.
No. It's been a long time since the Boston Bruins have been able to go into the Montreal Forum and just enjoy a fun Saturday night of hockey. I'm sure Mike Bilberry and company are really going to enjoy that with the pressure off their back. As we said before, that was a big win over the Hartford Whalers, both with the fact that they're going to play the Whalers in the first round of the playoffs, and they got it done.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Now, do you think when they step on that forum ice and they see those Canadian sweaters, that it's going to be a fun night at the Forum? I mean, you know hockey players like I know hockey players. They get out there and they see the Bruins sweater and the Canadian sweater. You know, it's just it's a game, and it's nice to have the thing clinched so you don't have to go up there and win. That's a great part of it. But I just think the way that Mike's coached that team all year long, that those guys will go out.
Hammond getting it back out to center. And now we've got a fight going here. Rick Elaine matched up with Matt Hervey back behind the play at first, and now they're all watching, and they're having a pretty good go at it as the linesmen move in. Hervey and Elaine will get the gate. 13 minutes, 24 seconds, the time of the penalties.
I'll tell you, Rick Elaine's a pretty tough kid. Hervey picked him out. That didn't start out between Elaine and Hervey, but Hervey went after him, and Elaine just handled him like a rag doll there. Play's going to start off here in the top of the screen. You can see it right there. That's the original play, as Elaine gave a pretty good pop to number 11, Guy LaRose. And from that point, that's when Hervey went after Elaine. And watch this. There's no messing around here. Elaine sat out the last 2 games. He's obviously of an ill temper right now. Keith Elaine.
Into the corner. Cantal pinching in. Jamming it up. Battling for it. And the puck rolls in behind the net. Carson makes the play off the board. Penalty coming up now as Okasak ready to go. Collision behind the net.
Those two no strangers to each other. Darryl Williams and John Mokosak have went before. This time they were ready to drop the gloves, actually did, and they were bothered by the nets, and that gave the linesman a chance to get in there quickly.
Well, I really think Mokosak wisely didn't, not long on the farm, right, but didn't go for those chickens and cows. There's a nice check. And this is what starts it. Now, Williams, what's the high stick? There's the cross check. Then he's going to hit the dasher with his head again. That's what cuts him.
Number 16.
Now he can't get loose. No, where's the linesman? The other guy, the other linesman, really late in getting in there. He'll be chastised for the length of time it took him to get there. He should have seen that coming.
5 minutes for fighting.
When a player is down, Bancroft nailed him too, just crushed him. He's not going to get up.
He is just...
Bancroft's going at it here at center ice.
Bancroft.
Sean McCosh for New Haven.
Bancroft fared very well in that. A crushing check. He laid in the corner on Wilson. He hit Wilson. Wilson has the wind knocked out of him. I don't know how he got up. McCosh is leaving. They're going to be very short of players.
That's one thing the Mariners coaching staff wanted from defenseman Steve Bancroft. They wanted the big man to play like a big man. They wanted him to be physical, and wow, what a rap he gave.
Fighting for the fellas.
Solid hit. He was dished out there.
Yes.
Okay, 5 each. Maine number 34, Steve Bancroft.
59 seconds left. 5-5 the score.
Still okay, but watch this hit. The solid hit. Back. That catches him across the ribs. Down he goes.
Trying to work it in front for Bice. 30 seconds to play in the period. And we'll get a face-off coming up to the left of Rasico in the nets for Fredericton.
Ladies and gentlemen, Boston Bruins are proud to present Boston Bruins.
Set to back at the blue line. Nothing's going to come of it. Andy Brown, or John Brown, rather, the linesman. John's brother, Andy, plays for the Boston College baseball team. And Bob Norton checking in from downstairs. Hi, Bobby.
How you doing? Well, you know, what usually happens on my way down here, I missed a goal. Would you please tell me what happened?
It was Gauthier picking up the goal. He picked it up just inside the blue line and walked all the way in to 58 feet out, wound up being 25 feet out by the time he shot, as we have Quintal now squaring off against Roy Mitchell. And John Brown sitting back and enjoying the show here at the Garden. A lot of energy expended, but so far not much landing. Quintal will win the wrestling match as Bergola moves in along with John Brown. I'll show you that goal, Bob, and also you folks at home. There's Gauthier. Saying to himself, they're going to give it to him. He may as well come all the way in.
Yeah, well, what happened? You obviously had a defensive...
Gets the wrist shot off. He's broken up by Chapman, and now a penalty coming up on Hoover. And there they go, Hoover and Chapman.
Well, you can see some frustrated Mariners right now. It's 7-0. And from my standpoint, Dave, I'm not seeing a lot. You know, you can't help that. You got a lot of frustration inside, and he's just, you know, maybe not the right thing or the right time, but it has to happen. And
you got to get it out somehow. Huh?
Ron Hoover takes. I think what you're going to see is 2 for cross-checking and 5 for fighting.
Well, Chapman is definitely going, so the Mariners are going to be short 2 unless Mick Magoo calls matching penalties here. And
yeah.
We've strangely seen that earlier tonight.
Yeah,
so
he's been working on that tonight.
I'm not going to guess.
Ron Hoover, not a happy camper. Here we're going to see it coming down the boards. He gets a little hook, tries to get a shot off. When he gets up, he's going to, the lumber gets just a tad high. Nice, right in the cheek.
Ooh. High stick, cross check.
Basically, you can pick him.
Take your choice in the neutral ice.
We've got a fight here. There's some fisticuffs going. Stefan Quintal, I don't see who he's with.
That's Daniels.
He's got Scott Daniels, who was throwing rights and lefts. I'm not sure who started it there.
That was John Mokosak.
Sorry about that.
You're used to Stefan's number in Boston,
yes,
which is 21. An understandable
John
mistake.
Mokosak, I didn't see how that started, but some more frustrations. I know John works hard and doesn't take lightly to being on the bottom end of a score like this today.
That'll put Daniels over 100 penalty minutes for the season. Mokosak leaves with arms extended as there's 1 second left to go in the period.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was too happy, Dave, and when that happens, you get the fisticuffs, and both men left fairly untouched, I think. A couple of rights, couple of lefts, and let's take a break to the dressing room. I'm out of here.
Now this may be an ugly third period if this trend continues. Down 8-0, nowhere to go but try to salvage a little pride.
Yeah, you're working on a pride thing right now, and it'd be safe to say, I'm not going on a limb and saying there might be another battle.
Qui se retiennent. Il n'y a pas de coup d'échanger jusqu'à maintenant. Saumier qui tente de placer quelques gauches. Crawford réplique.
Saumier, Pierre, qui était un pugiliste très dangereux dans la Ligue de hockey junior majeur du Québec. Il est trapu.
Oui. Alors on
s'y attendait un peu parce que du côté du Maine, vous avez des hommes forts. Comme Crawford nous le démontre actuellement.
Crawford qui fait quand même 6 pieds, 185 livres. Et ça doit être épuisant pour les deux joueurs parce que de se retenir de la sorte, ça demande beaucoup d'énergie.
Surtout pour Saumier, comme tu le mentionnais, qui concède au niveau de la taille. Même s'il est très fort, on a vu que Crawford avait une plus longue portée. Il fait 6 pieds, 185 livres. Lou Crawford, il a signé un contrat comme joueur autonome, Pierre, le 6 juillet en 1989, il y a quelques mois. Puis
Petite passe touchée par Richer. Disque qui tarde à toucher un joueur du Canadien de Sherbrooke. Circa maintenant. Et là, c'est la bagarre qui éclate. Odeline et Zilioto plutôt.
On s'y attendait parce que c'est une équipe de Maine qui a beaucoup d'hommes forts. Sherbrooke se défend très bien de ce côté-là également.
Là, c'est Odeline qui a perdu son casque. Là, c'est un peu plus dangereux. Il a réussi à placer une bonne droite. Ben, il faudrait que Jean-Paul Chartrand soit avec nous ce soir, Yvon. Et Yvon Michel également, nos commentateurs de boxe au réseau des sports.
On l'avait un peu prévu avant le début du match, Pierre. Là, je regarde quand même la formation du Maine et celle de Sherbrooke. Et dans la Ligue américaine, il y a des joueurs qui savent ce soir qu'il y a quand même quelques directeurs généraux dans les gradins. On veut vraiment s'imposer. Certains ont un talent limité. On dit on va y aller avec d'autres choses pour quand même attirer l'attention. Alors, ça a éclaté tout ça devant le filet de Racicot. Tout d'abord, il y a eu un coup de poing qui a été porté par Odeline à l'endroit du joueur du Maine. Et regardez bien. Là, on a acheté les gants et la bataille a éclaté.
Mais là, si on était dans la Ligue nationale et qu'on appliquait le règlement à la lettre, Odeline aurait un 2 minutes supplémentaires parce qu'il a vraiment provoqué
son adversaire.
Zilioto. Oui. Alors, on a tout vu en 24 heures. On a eu de la lutte hier soir, de la boxe ce soir, et tout ça dans le cadre de 2 reportages de hockey.
Et quand il y a une bataille de ce genre-là, Pierre et
Johnston. Et là, c'est la bagarre qui éclate entre Choubatum et Roberge. Serge Roberge. Alors, les coups de Roberge n'ont pas vraiment porté. Ils étaient sur le casque. Alors, on reviendra après cette pause publicitaire. C'est Sherbrooke 2. Le Maine 1, c'est le hockey de la Ligue américaine à l'antenne du réseau des sports.
Voici comment le tout a débuté. Tout d'abord, on aperçoit Choubatum et Roberge au bas de l'écran. Il y a eu contact et Choubatum savait à ce moment-là que l'invitation était lancée. Et les deux joueurs ont ensuite jeté les gants. Il y a eu tout d'abord quelques coups ratés, mais on a vu que Roberge a porté un coup. Et lorsqu'il s'est en allé au banc des pénalités, Choubatum, il donnait l'impression d'avoir eu un coup de soleil. Et puis tellement il avait le visage rouge.
Oui, un peu tuméfié. L'histoire de Brian Lawton. Moderno est un premier choix qui joue très bien. Tir de Schneider et il a raté tout juste la cible. Il y avait une belle ouverture et voilà la bagarre qui éclate. C'est Quintal et Martinson. Alors ce sont 2 colosses. Quintal qui a perdu son casque. Là, ça devient tout de suite plus dangereux. Cherche à se protéger tant bien que mal. Les juges de ligue devraient intervenir tout de suite parce que quand on perd son casque, non seulement est-ce que c'est dangereux de recevoir un coup de poing violent, mais c'est lors d'une chute sur la glace.
C'est très bien défendu, Stéphane Quintal, face à Martinson, qui est reconnu comme un bon bagarreur. Et dès le début du combat, je pense qu'il a apporté les premiers coups. Il se dirige pendant vers le vestiaire de son équipe. Il reste 4 minutes et 46 secondes. Voilà la raison. Même chose pour Martinson.
Vous avez vu Quintal avec ce visage angélique. On a peine à croire.
Alors tout ça a démarré devant le filet de Frank Caprice. Surveiller Quintal qui bouscule Martinson. Martinson n'a pas apprécié. On a acheté des gants et le combat a été engagé entre les deux joueurs.
Visage angélique, mais il n'a rien d'angélique que la marquise des anges. 6 pieds 3 pouces, 215 livres.
Très bon joueur, Stéphane Quintal.
Et puis Martinson, lui, qui a accompli son rôle avec le Canadien pendant quelques années. Évidemment, ce genre de joueur est de moins en moins nécessaire, il faut le dire, dans la Ligue nationale de hockey. Il a très bien accepté Schneider. Bon jeu de Schneider, tir qui était faible cependant. Serge Robert a repris, mise en échec par Showbanton, et voilà la bagarre qui éclate. C'est le deuxième round.
Là, Showbanton n'a pas donné le temps à son adversaire de réagir du tout. Il a acheté les gants très rapidement.
Robert a perdu son casque. Et les deux ont perdu leur casque. Bon. Et là, les coups peuvent porter.
Showbanton a été très rapide, Pierre, lorsque ça a démarré.
On a même tassé le filet pour se faire un peu plus de place. Alors, Showbanton a aggravé sa blessure. C'est joli à voir.
Qu'est-ce qui est arrivé dans le cas de Showbanton, Pierre? C'est un bagarreur d'expérience, on l'a vu. Roberge également, mais Roberge était vers la fin de sa présence sur la patinoire et s'en venait dans le coin à toute vitesse. Il ne s'attendait pas à ce que le joueur des Mariners du Maine laisse tomber les gants aussi rapidement.
Alors, on va revoir comment le tout a commencé, mais c'était...
On voit Roberge qui est retenu par Showbanton. Et voilà comment ça a démarré très rapidement.
Vous avez vu avec quelle rapidité ces joueurs laissent tomber leurs gants? C'est peut-être la seule façon pour eux de montrer une certaine habileté.
Mais comme tu le vois, dans la Ligue américaine, il est très important d'avoir des joueurs de ce calibre pour encadrer des jeunes joueurs qu'on veut développer pour la Ligue nationale.
Et vous pouvez imaginer dans les circuits comme la Ligue internationale.
Quality individual. Foster finally gets a hold of it and holds on long enough for the face-off, and now we'll have the fisticuffs. In behind the net, and coming in there is Greg Johnston. Grabbing onto one of the Amerks, might be Corkum. Ray is in there also. And Shepard was there. Trying to see exactly what's going on. You can see Shepard gets back up. He is held onto by Johnston, who originally went in, I believe, on top of Corkum.
It looked like Rob Ray started it all. There's Rob Ray in the middle of that melee. Hofford moved into the defenseman, Big Brad Miller. Look at Rob Ray. He's got his own teammate. He better just turn around. But Rob Ray went after that loose puck. The Amerks had a couple good scoring chances. Is that Corkum and Shoebottom doing some jostling? Big Brad Miller. There's like a Bruce Shoebottom.
Of course, some of the fans around here would remember Bobby Corkum. He played his college hockey right here at the University of Maine, not too far away. Spent a little time in the penalty box. It looks like he and Bruce Shoebottom are going to get a trip back to the box right now, and some other penalties will be coming up. But you kind of expected this with the lineups that each team had coming into this game, didn't you, John?
Look at this. Look at that. You sure did, because you know this was going to be a very physical game. You look at the guys that the Maine Mariners have on the ice. You have Big Brad Miller. You know, for him to be effective out there, he has to be in there bumping and grinding. You know, that kid has really turned it around. Ray Shepard, Rob Ray really started it all when he went after that loose puck in the goal crease. You know, that is it's a sacred area, and you know you have
with just seconds remaining in the period. Whistle stops play after the puck is dropped. So the Mariners now are 1 for 2 in the power play, and we'll have a few words at center ice area.
You know, this started right along the boards in front of the Maine Mariner bench. Townsend looked like he wanted to get something going with Rob Ray. Hofford now moving in there with Townsend. He has two players, McGinnis and Rob Ray. McGinnis, he didn't get enough of this stuff in the summertime. The off ice, I shouldn't say anything about that, that little incident that happened with his brother in a bar in Calgary. But it started with Rob Ray and Townsend trying to get something going. Now we're going to see Jim Hofford and McGinnis going at it. Boy, it's been a very physical period. Very physical period out here. Hofford throws him down to the ice. They're in there pretty tight with one another. Linesman breaking him up. So you talk about heart and soul of the Rochester Americans, Jim Hofford, coming back from that injury, captain of the Amerks.
So McGinnis is heading off, and Townsend is heading off. 11 seconds to go here in the period. 2-1 the score in favor of the Rochester Americans. The Amerks
sack of the Maine Mariners, and I believe Sean Byram of the Springfield Indians. Both players in very tight right now. Mokasak with quick right hands. Byram trying to do the same, but both combatants are really in close, Bruce, and they can't get free.
Well, Sean Byram had John Mokasak from behind, or rather Carl Mokasak from behind, and had him down. They elected to let him up there, so Sean Byram with a right hand over the linesman. But Sean Byram let Carl Mokasak get back to his feet. And the original call, I believe, is going to go on Sean Byram because referee LaRue had his arm up and was going to signal Byram for a penalty. And then he, when the fight broke out, obviously both of them are going to go to the penalty box. But I'm sure the Indians are going to get the additional 2 minutes here. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, the penalties will come at 1:44. The second period. We'll tell you about it when we return. The score, the Springfield Indians 1, the Maine Mariners nothing. This is the AHL Game of the Week.
The play by Tommy Lehman. Revich hit. Physical play starting to pick up as Shoebottom bangs in the corner.
And
the
he's going to
penalty
draw the
coming up.
penalty, yeah. I see if Roberge is going back at him. Shoebottom and Roberge are tangling. Jay Frazier's got a hold of somebody, but I don't think they're going to go. But Shoebottom and Roberge are trying to get the arms free, as you see there. I think it was Shoebottom, the last man in, who drew the penalty, too. So Roberge will go with him, but it'll be another Canadian power play. As they start getting untangled and some arms free. Let's see if anything lands here. There's a left hand by Shoebottom. Now Roberge has the right hand free, and down they go. And the linesman should come in. A couple of big guys, though. They'll try to pry these two apart.
Bruce Shoebottom, 205 penalty minutes, and now 40 games for the Mariners, and Serge Roberge for the Canadiens, 162 penalty minutes in 32 games.
Yeah, they've been in there before.
As Shoebottom and Roberge go off to the penalty box, we'll be back in just a moment. The Mariners fail the Canadians 1-0. One for the Mariners.
Roberge and DiGaetano going at it. Roberge just took a run at DiGaetano. He's got the right hand free. Now DiGaetano lands a couple of right hands and pulls him down. He's pounded away with the right hand now. Mario Roberge, who, of course, goes looking for this type of action.
Earlier in the game, you saw Bruce Shoebottom and Mario's brother Serge go at it, and Phil DiGaetano pulls his sweater back on as he gets to the Mariners penalty box and sits down. He shows a lot of guts there. 13:40 left to play third period. Canadians out in front 5-0, and we'll return to the Civic Center after this message. Paul Gay in a tough position as the puck had cleared the zone, and he tangles at Dundas.
Yeah, Dundas took a run at Gay, taking the check out at the Canadians bench, and there they are, grappling right there in front of the bench, and down they go. Rocky Dundas and Paul Gay. And the linesman trying to get them separated. Gay's got the sweater pulled right up over him. Now gets it down, and he'll be heading for the penalty box.
Coming to you tonight from the Civic Center in Portland. We'll be right back after this. 10 minutes, 30 seconds remain third period.
We got another one going. Ryan Stewart already got into one on the way out there. He had a stick grab and he nailed somebody and hurt him. And now one of the Canadians jumps Stewart, and we got everything breaking out here.
Shoebottom with Stefan LeBeau, I believe.
Yeah. Everybody. Ryan Stewart nailed one of the Canadians who was holding his stick. was hurt. And another of the Canadians, and I couldn't catch the number, jumped Stewart, and they just fired away punches. And Ryan Stewart was throwing the left hand. Nobody, was he coming out?
I don't think so. Just trying to get a good look.
He wants a better look at it.
Like you and I up here. I think it was Don Dufresne, Frank. But they don't run at each other. You don't see
look at Shoebottom just nailed Exelby on the way by. Now it's all going to break out. Drebich tackles somebody behind the net, but on his way by, Shoebottom figured he just nailed a goaltender. And look at this. Here comes the Mariner goaltender, Mike Jeffrey. He may as well get into this. He moves Exelby away. Now they're going at each other. The two goaltenders are going. Exelby got his face mask off, but he better look out. Jeffrey's a big guy. There goes Exelby. He's back up again. He's game anyway. I've never seen the goaltenders go this much at it. Everybody on the ice has somebody now. Jeff Lamb and Jim Neeson, I don't think threw punches. They're the only two tangled up there. I don't think threw anything yet. Mitch Malloy breaks away. But then he reaches in and grabs Odelin. Malloy, I think, got cut. And he's moving away. Look at Mike Jeffrey. He's still got a hold of Exelby. Look at this. They can't get him out the door.
What do you think they're saying to each other right now? Because they're just standing there now. Robert.
Yeah. Reached over and threw a punch.
Yeah.
That's
now's the time to stop. Maybe it was a time to stop before it all got started.
It should have never got started to this extent. But the frustration came out as Ryan Stewart had his stick held. That's all how this started. Ryan Stewart, the youngster, there he is there, had his stick being held as he broke into the offensive end, and he just got angry at all the clutching and grabbing. He reached out and whacked the guy. And then Dufresne jumped him. Now look at Roberge. He wants a piece of little Ryan Stewart. But they're still, they're still milling around. And Malloy moved away. He was cut. He was cut. But here's Mike Jeffrey.
And it's all down by the door where the Mariners' dressing room is. So it's not a good place for the Mariners because they tend to push Mariner players off the ice and the Canadians remain out there.
Yeah. And they're escorting some of the Mariners out, as you see. Ed Anderson talking to Rich Malloy over by the door, Mariner president.
Well, he saw a few of those in the early years.
Oh, there were a couple of those, I'll tell you, in the early years. I don't know if we can ever go back and get a look at how it got actually started. But Ryan Stewart just got sick and tired of the clutching and grabbing. There he is, and whack. He finally got sick of getting held, and he nailed a Canadian. But here he gets jumped. Now, watch these two go at it, because Stewart, look at him landing the left hands. Bang. And he's not the biggest of the Mariners, and Dufresne lands a few himself, but look at, he's still throwing that left hand, and that's how it got all started. Shoebottom got in it, everybody got in it. Shoebottom was being escorted to the penalty box on the way by. He just reached out and whacked the goaltender. You hear the response from the crowd as that penalty box is going to fill up, of course. Gloves and sticks all over the ice. The Mariners coming to the bench.
You're right, it started with Ryan Stewart and Dufresne running at him, but then it escalated when Shoebottom actually must have said something to Shoebottom as he skated by.
It probably was, but I think Shoebottom got angry because the argument was between Ryan Stewart and somebody else in the first place. Then Dufresne jumped in.
So fireworks at the Civic Center. 10.5 minutes left to go, third period.
There's the huddle. They'll have a while figuring this one out.
They'll get the calculators and computers out. We'll step aside a moment, and we'll be right back after this message. Their, I believe, fourth shutout of the year over the Mariners.
Here we go again. DiGaetano and somebody. Is it Roberge again? Up along the glass.
Lemieux.
No, it's Lemieux. Jocelyn Lemieux. And Lemieux's got the right hand free, and he's firing some pretty good right hands.
and he's got the face shield on. So let's see if they call the penalty, which was put in the books this year.
Yeah. Here we got another one going. Mike Neal and one of the Canadians going here. That's Roberge. Mario Roberge. Down on the ice they go. And back up they get. Roberge banging away with the right hand. Neal trying to get something free. They're back down on the ice. Back up again. The linesmen have two other guys tied up. Of course, they can't do much about this one. As Neal and Roberge get to their feet again. We told you how Roberge, that's his job on this team. This kind of a situation, Mike Neal down on the ice again, and now the linesmen are free. They've got a couple of guys ushered off. They can go back and get a couple more. And another one breaks out at the blue line. Little Steve Tejura is in it. And who's he in it with? Gauthier.
Gauthier. He was jumped by Gauthier.
Gauthier jumped Tejura out by the blue line. Now, Jeff Lamb,
you don't do
Greg
that.
Johnston have people. Get Lamb and Nicias again.
Get Luc Gauthier a police escort to leave this building. He's got a shield, so he knows he won't get hit in the face.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. Unless there's an injury, that part of the game of hockey should go. There's Mike Neal. Uh-oh, Greg Johnston now.
Sylvain Lefebvre and Johnston.
Lefebvre has thrown 2 punches already now. Let's see if
Johnston's trying
to get a hand free.
What we're talking about is that plexiglass that covers his eyes.
Yeah, he's got a mask on.
It's amazing. Mike Milbury almost played an entire National Hockey League career as a defenseman that banged in the corners and stood in front of the net without a helmet.
Without a helmet, right. Now everybody's separated now. Here's Mario Roberge over in the penalty box again.
So while they figure out the penalties, we'll take a break. 5:43 remaining in the third period. Canadians 6, the Mariners nothing, and we'll return to the Civic Center after this message.
There's a great hot dog move right there.
Well, the Canadians already jumped the smallest Maine Mariner, Steve Tejura. The only other player around his size is Norm Foster, so why not take a run at him too? These two organizations, Jimmy talked about it with Kyle Mokosak, they don't like each other when they play in Montreal or they play in Boston, and you can bet they don't like each other. We proved it tonight when they play in either Portland, Maine or in Sherbrooke, Quebec.
Now, here's how it got started. You see Lemieux take DiGaetano in, and DiGaetano retaliates. And bang, he hits him with a right hand, but he's got that mask on. He's firing away with his own right hands off the back of the helmet. But you're not going to score much trying to hammer that face mask, that plexiglass.
The only way you're going to do it is to get from under it or rip it off, and that's it up. Lehman brings in. Lehman tries to take it off the board. Lehman grabbed on the play, and a penalty call coming up, and Podolsky runs into a Canadian.
Easy, Ray. Got to have 6 guys. Uh-oh, here they go. Darren Lowe's firing some, Paul Gay's firing some punches out there.
On Lyle Odelin.
That's Odelin, the big defenseman. Look at Gay's trying to climb up Odelin. Odelin now's got the right hand free. Look out. Off comes the helmet. Gay's, look at he's back up and firing punches at it. Paul Gay's still trying to get covered up now because that right hand is free and he could be in trouble. Now the Mariners move in
and say, let's put an end to this.
Uh-oh, Odelin's still hammering away.
There are no linesmen there.
Nobody.
Why doesn't the referee get in on it? We've seen them do it before.
He's trying to now.
Paul Gay up to his feet as Richer is sent the length of the ice. You see a good look at Stefan Richer. There's one of the Roberges has already showered next to him. Odelin will go off to the dressing room. Frank, you'd have to think.
There goes Odelin.
Of course, all season long, we broadcast games on the Mariners radio network. And tonight, down to our right, Howie Sylvester and Dick Johnson. And we have the virtue of having great camera shots all night, directed by Dave Bean.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. It's a tough thing to do. Mariners bench right now.
That's it.
5 skaters on the ice and only 1 player available on the bench. There he is, Paul Baraldo.
And if you went by the announcements, he's not supposed to be here.
All right, we're back to action with 5:20 left to go. Well,
you see what happens if anything breaks out here.
There's been action. Looks ahead is Baraldo out there now. Lehman, the lone Mariner on the bench. Whoa!
Baraldo went after somebody. Now he's looking around as he knew he was going to get jumped. Here we go. Now who's going to be left? Paul Baraldo waited for his turn.
Rocky Dundas wants a piece of Baraldo. Those two tangled earlier in the season. And
the referee is in this one definitely. He's had enough. He's got a hold of Dundas. Baraldo, Murphy has him, and he's trying to get him out the door. Finally, he gets Baraldo out the door.
Mike Milbury is on the Mariners bench talking to his 1 player, Tommy Lehman, as Dundas is pushed off by Martell.
Dundas now just skates to the dressing room.
Well, the Mariners only, with Podlaski in the penalty box, serving 2 minutes of some sort.
Look at Mike.
Yeah. Lonely nights.
Is it something I said? He said. Well, now he's having a few words with somebody over near the Canadiens bench.
And the Mariners crowd still behind them right now. You can hear chanting in the background. Well, by the time we get downstairs, Frank, half the team is going to be showered. They'll have their shoes shined. They'll be shaved. And they'll be on the bus ready to go.
Listen to the crowd.
And their club trails 6-0.
Mike Milbury just called over Jay Frazier. I think he just feels like having somebody to talk to. Let's listen to this.
Mariner penalty on number 20, 2 minutes for Paul Baraldo, 2 minutes for roughing, and a 10-minute misconduct. Time of the penalty is 15:37.
All right, Baraldo gets 2
Dundas,
minutes
a 10-minute
for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct. Dundas gets a 10-minute misconduct. The Mariners were on a power play, so they'll skate 4 aside if the Mariners can come up with the 4. See, Baraldo just came off the bench, and bang. He had something in mind right there as he just nailed the guy. Stick is gone and down. He just nailed the guy and was on top of him, and then Dundas came to the rescue, or tried to, but he never got there.
He had been waiting.
Phil DiGaetano bumped off by Walsh. Johnston chops at it. Walsh wants a piece of Phil DiGaetano. They square off. Entangled, Mike Walsh of Springfield, Phil DiGaetano of the Maine Mariners. And the linesmen move in to break up this unlikely combination.
Well, your right words there are very descriptive, John. Unlikely. Neither Phil DiGaetano or Mike Walsh are players that go looking for this type of action, the fisticuffs. But DiGaetano, if we have it on the replay, I don't know if we do, but he punches Mike Walsh in the mouth, and that obviously upset Mike, and he wanted a part of DiGaetano. But again, DiGaetano had his back to Mike Walsh, and Mike just basically let him go. But 2 pretty good hockey players who you don't really want in the penalty box for your coach. You want them on the ice, and hopefully there'll be offsetting plays here. One of the things I noticed, John, very quickly is the Indians forwards are getting up much too high. They're not giving the defensemen a very good chance to move the puck from their defensive zone up the ice. We'll take a look at this punch coming up here on the replay. This is DiGaetano right here coming up. Walsh comes over, takes him out of the play, just a shoulder into him. And watch the punch right here is the punch, bing, a left shot to the mouth, snaps, and then Walsh throws one over the back. So 2 guys wrestling around a little bit, really nothing much happening, but offsetting minors, I'm sure, John.
Roughing the call on both players, Walsh and DiGaetano. Hackett makes the save and covers.
Paul Baraldo has an awful big hockey shot, and here we go, a scrap right here. It looks like Chris McSorley going at it with Mitch Malloy, and they're 2 pretty tough customers.
Malloy the bigger of the 2, but McSorley very strong for his size. Pound for pound, he can go with just about anyone. Mitch Malloy and Chris McSorley now in a wrestling match. The linesman waiting for them to tire out. Now they move in to break it up as McSorley wrestled on top of Malloy. We'll have penalties handed out here by Dennis LaRue.
Well, Chris McSorley, he's becoming very quickly a very popular player here in Springfield, only being here for a few hockey games, only playing in his 8th game here tonight, but he's very popular with the fans because he's one of those guys has a lot of quickness and not afraid to use his body to his advantage. And we've said before, John, he plays like his brother Marty McSorley, but he's about 40 pounds lighter. And watch this big shot by Beraldo here. Paul Beraldo with the best scoring chance in the first period when he had that clear-cut breakaway. This is a bullet drive from near the boards that almost handcuffs Jeff Hackett. There again, one thing to point out, Jeff Hackett, great position right up the top of the crease, goes down, smothers the shot, and then the altercation took place. And it's going to be McSorley, John, who's going to get the extra minor, I'm sure, for instigating.
Chris McSorley will get the extra minor, as Bruce has just mentioned. Instigating is the call, along with 5 for fighting. Malloy just 5 for score. It may have gone off Steve Tajura in front. And now McSorley and Johnston set to go. Weiss pushes at Johnston, and now it looks like they're going after a loose ball. Looks like a fumble along the far side. Everyone involved. 14 seconds left in the period. The damage has been done. The Mariners have tied the game here late in the second. And again, chippiness prevails.
Well, you said it best, John. The important thing is for the Maine Mariners, they scored a goal as the Indians were very sloppy. With only 14 seconds left, they had 2 or 3 chances to freeze the puck, ice the puck, or do anything, and they gave it away to the point. And eventually, the puck will be the goal might be given. I think it was Lamb that went off his skate, but we'll wait and see. And you can see the skirmish going down. Now, what we have to be concerned about Springfield Indians is Chris Pryor's involved. And again, Chris, with all the game misconducts he has, one thing we can't have is another game misconduct to Chris Pryor. So this will be an interesting call by Dennis LaRue. Here's the goal. The Indians have given the puck away 3 times in a row, and it goes back to the point. There's the shot off a skate. I believe it's Stevie Tajura got in front, not Jeff Lamb, Stevie Tajura, and probably hit his skate and went in.
Well, they don't want to quit. Pryor is right in the thick of things with Sean Evans, his defense mate, Mike Neal, and Greg Johnston. They continue. Pryor, of course, is in the middle of, as Bruce has mentioned, of some judicial action by the American Hockey League. He has been suspended for action against Baltimore on Saturday night here at the Civic Center, but that has been appealed, that suspension, so that ruling will come at the beginning of this week. And the linesmen are hard-pressed to break it up. LaRue this way is chatting right there. A good look there at Doug Weiss and Phil DiGaetano. LaRue has the notepad out, taking some notes here with 14 seconds remaining in the second period. This game has been like this throughout. And again, this still isn't one of those Donnybrook affairs, just a lot of scuffling.
A lot of pushing and shoving. I think Chris Pryor is hurt. He's talking to Dennis LaRue down there, and I think he may have hurt his shoulder. Again, Chris has a very bad shoulder, and it looked like he was pinned up against the boards. He's favoring that shoulder, but we'll have to wait what the calls are here. But Sean Evans, who also not known for his fisticuffs, but big, strong man, he was ready to go out with Johnson. Mike Neal has gone to the penalty box. Right now, it's DiGaetano and Dougie Weiss are holding on to each other, and I don't think anything's going to happen there.
14 seconds remaining in the second period. The goal was scored. Mike Milbury and Dougie Weiss are chatting. Milbury has no business talking the opposition. No business at all. You don't know what develops at ice level, though. And now Weiss is escorted off, and LaRue will hand out the penalties.
Well, Chris Pryor is going off. Of course, everybody will go off with only 14 seconds left on the clock. And again, our concern is what they're going to do with...
And Norm Foster gets there in the nick of time. He's had his problems mobility-wise, and now Jay Rose set to go with Dale Kushner, and Will Rose used the taekwondo. He gets no opportunity as Kushner does a number on newcomer Jay Rose.
I've always said those Tai Kong Woes or whatever they're called. I can't say that word. They don't do anything for you when you're on skate.